Ahead of the return of Phoenix Wrestling to its home in Cork next week, I am delighted to be joined by the champ, Justy, and by Mr. Phoenix Wrestling, Mr. Billy Bedlam. Guys, how are you?
Rory, how's it going, boy?
All good here, Rory. How are you?
Good, man. Good. I'm delighted to have you on. Both of you, obviously. It's first time having Justy on the show. Bedlam, I should say, has been on the show quite a bit over the last couple of years. Friend of the show. And I might just start with yourself, Mr. Bedlam, and just talk to us about, I suppose, the last year and a bit, like coping with COVID and keeping a promotion going through in COVID, I guess.
It's been a bit of a roller coaster, right, Rory, to be fair. We've moved our operations out of Cork into Limerick from a training perspective, and our first show back was in Limerick as well. So it is great to get the opportunity to come back and wrestle in front of Cork fans at our home, it's been tough. It's been tough on everyone, not just in wrestling community, but in general. But in wrestling, we have had our own fucking tough period, you know what I mean? And for us in Cork, losing the school was really hard one to take during the summer. I thought about folding a couple of times, just keeping going on the skin of our teeth, basically. And obviously then we moved operations up to Steve Savage's place in Limerick. But I tell you, the show sold out so quick, and I can't wait to go back to Circus Factory and wrestle in front of the Cork crowd and get that feeling coming out in front of the Cork crowd again. And I retired on my 40th birthday, which nearly 3 years ago in the Kino, and I can't wait to get back out there and wrestle in Cork again. And I think probably Justy is the same, you know what I mean? We're really looking forward to getting back at it, you know?
You've had more comebacks than Elvis now at this point, dude.
I know. Yeah. One more time. Woo!
The show sold out on the strength of one match. That is Justy versus Reardon O'Connor for the title. Justy, you are the newly crowned Phoenix Wrestling champion. Talk us through that moment when you got your hands on the belt.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the show sold out on just one match. No, it's very flattering. I'd say the show sold out on just one name, and that's. But yeah, to be honest with you, for me, being a champion of Phoenix was a foregone conclusion. I'd already been in that mindset since 2018, even. I knew it was inevitable. I knew I was inevitable, and I knew it was gonna come to me. I'd earned that spot, and the way I saw it was that this championship belt was a debt that was owed to me. However, I did not expect to be as emotional as I was afterwards when I won. It's like, for me, it's I've been a long time at this, and I've never had a singles championship belt, which, people could just say, maybe you're not that good, and maybe I would have resigned myself to believe in that as well if I didn't have the run that I had in 2019, 2020 in Phoenix Wrestling. So I say 2020, I had about 2 matches. I felt that, a career over 2 decades was now cemented, that people couldn't take this one thing away from me. It was a championship with no asterisks, nobody's name beside me, no ampersands. It's my belt, and I'm gonna make it mean something. So for how it felt, it was amazing. In front of that hot Limerick crowd, that really I thought I was going to get lynched if Steve Savage didn't come out there with the championship belt. So I definitely owe him a rematch at some stage. I feel like I owe Reardon his match, because he 100% has earned my respect. He hasn't earned his title yet, but he's definitely earned my respect, and he's earned a shot at this belt. So for me, there was so many emotions running through my mind in Limerick, but the number one thing I felt was pride. I was proud of myself, I was proud of Phoenix, and I was proud of where we came from such meager beginnings to a tough year. As Billy said, everybody's had a tough year, but in the wrestling community, it really hit hard for us. We struggle at the best of times. You know, half of the world look down on wrestling, and the fans that we do have, we have to keep them happy because they have such high expectations. So when you get knocked back for a year, like we did with COVID, we needed a big boost, and to come back to such a hot Limerick show, and for me to win that championship, that was the biggest boost I could ask for. So yeah, pride. I was really proud of what we did.
As you said, Justy, you've been at this quite a long time, one of the OGs of the Irish professional wrestling scene. Can you take us back, I suppose, to your start in professional wrestling? What hooked you in, and why you continued in professional wrestling?
What hooked me in? I think, like, watching wrestling as a kid, I remember, like, you have to remember, like, when it was. Let me bring you back to the 90s. It was crazy. We're of a generation, I suppose, that on TV everything was excess. Everything was a massive show. It was crazy. It was you had to go all out to get people's attention. And you know, I'm from the MTV generation. Jackass, Jerry Springer. You know, like TV was insane, and on the top of the list for me was professional wrestling. The stuff that was out there in the Attitude Era for me was, you know, that just hooked me in, the spectacle of professional wrestling. And I remember from my early teens saying, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a pro wrestler. And that's every chance I got. We built rings out of pallets and fishing wire. And, you know, I was breaking my body up since I'm probably 13 or 14 years of age.
And Bedlam, I suppose, to have someone like Justy be your champion, the Phoenix Wrestling champion, I mean, like, I suppose it's a massive honor for Justy, but it's for the promotion itself, just shows you, I suppose, the respect that you guys have for him.
Absolutely. As like, he's one of the godfathers of Irish wrestling, not to be blowing it up too much, like, but I mean, yes, Justy's somebody that everybody knows in Irish wrestling, like, you know, and when we started the promotion, to be fair, he was somebody that we lent on a lot for advice in the early days, myself and Luke. And he was a big advocate for what we were trying to do, trying to change the scene in Cork, trying to clean up certain areas. And, you know, gives a lot of good advice and has been there since day one. So, you know, I'm delighted that that he went on the run he did. And I'm delighted that he won the match that he won. And I'm delighted to have him as our champion. You know? So mucho respecto, Justy.
Just the appreciation hour this is turning into. Very, very quickly.
Yeah, well, like, you know, let it continue. Like, don't nip it in the bud yet. Like, keep it going.
And Justy, I suppose you would have, like, for, I suppose, such a small country that we have and such a small wrestling scene that we have, for the country to produce like stars like Becky Lynch and Finn Balor and Sheamus, just shows, I suppose, how much Ireland is punching above its weight in professional wrestling. Yeah,
all my mates. Yeah, it's actually amazing to me. The kind of talent that Ireland produces, and it's funny because, and we say that, like, we've got, you know, 3 world champions there that you just mentioned in the WWE, but with the talent that we have here, homegrown talent, it's actually, like, it's unheard of to have such a small population, and then and a scene that isn't helped in any way. Like, we can't get any help from the government. Like, you know, sports councils won't touch wrestling, drama councils won't touch wrestling. Like, pick a lane, they'll say, like, but there's no funding, so everything is grassroots. When it comes to, like, training schools, like my home training school is Fight Factory, the Phoenix Training School now in Limerick, they're all, like, self-contained clubs. Like, no funding comes from anything except for, like, dues paid in. And it's a testament, I think, to the wrestlers themselves. And I think there's a kind of a hunger in Ireland from these young, talented people that they know what it takes, because they have to give it all. Like when they're the ones that are keeping the training schools open, and they're the ones that are pushing for shows to be put on in the country, they know what it takes. So they put everything into training, everything into what it takes to be a professional wrestler. And that's why I believe we get such great talent. And it helps that we've got great trainers in this country as well. But I really believe you got to put it back onto the wrestlers themselves. They really put their heart and soul into the craft of pro wrestling, and that's why we've got so many brilliantly talented people coming up and even at the top of the game.
And there's some fantastically brilliant people on this card as well, Mr. Bedlam. Can you talk us through the card that's there at the moment?
Yeah, obviously we've got Reardon O'Connor and Justy main eventing. We've got Session Martina defending her belt as well against Raven Creed. First time ever those two have ever fought in a singles competition, which is mental considering the lack of numbers in female wrestling in Ireland, and the fact that the two of them are at the very top. They've never wrestled singles. They wrestled a bunch of tag matches, but I'm glad we got to do it first.
Yeah, and I am so looking forward to that match as well, because it's both of their wheelhouse as well. Like Session Mob is a deathmatch wrestler, like, and Raven Creed is a bona fide lunatic. Like, I know people are like, they're like, oh yeah, like people when they wrestle, they put it out there, like they go bigger with their character and stuff. Like you see that, you see that person in the ring, like wearing a straitjacket out to the ring or whatever. Like she should be in a straitjacket all the time. Like the stuff that she does in her matches as well, insane, crazy. So that match for itself, I don't know why I'm trying to sell this sold out show, sold out on Justy's name, but that match itself is worth the price of admission.
It is, indeed. We've got Jay Money then and Danny Cross in the first dates match, which is a strange concept, but I'm looking forward to that. You'll have to just wait to see what that's going to be like, Rory, you know. And we've got some other cool matches. We've got Steve Savage. He's hasn't been announced yet, but he's wrestling LJ Cleary in a kind of a grudge match, which would be a really cool match. You know, I haven't announced what I'm doing yet in the show. I'll probably do something. I'll bring my boots anyway. You know, I might get a shot at something. And we've got,
if you have a good word with the booker, you might get a.
Well, you never know. Like the card always needs a couple of extra matches, in my opinion, especially in a big super show like this one. I got a tag team belt back there. You know, can you see that? That needs a good home.
Bring it over to us there.
I'll bring it over to you. So we got Rock Shandy. There we go. So that's the Phoenix, one of the Phoenix tag team belts that's going to be unveiled at the show. We got Sabres of Destiny versus Rock Shandy for that one. That's going to be a belter. Two of those teams are, you know, like Rock Shandy for me are one of the best teams in Europe. Like there's just so much energy and there's so much enthusiasm. Two young guys and they'd absolutely kick the head off you. So we're really looking forward to that one. And there's a few other surprises as well. Rory can't give it all away. What's been announced is announced, but it'll be a long night. It'll be a big show. We've a lot to do. We've a lot going on. Anita Vaughan is making her comeback as well. And I'm sure Butch Armstrong will be in the house somewhere, Mr. Charlie and a couple of others, you know. So
yeah, and just from, I suppose, a promotional point of view, I mean, like from the fact that like you sold out on coming back to Cork, must have been a relief that the appetite was still there for wrestling first off, and B, it kind of bodes well for the future going into 2022.
Yeah, well, I suppose, look, we have a plan to joint plan of Cork and Limerick. We'll never forget about Cork. Cork's our home. Most of the wrestlers in Phoenix wrestling, from a Munster perspective, live in Cork. I'm from Cork. I live in Cork. Well, moved to Dublin, but that's semantics. We like Limerick as well, though. We feel Limerick is raw, right? I think we can start a movement in Limerick as well. So I think doing a dual business strategy in that regard, kind of show 1 month here, 1 month there, one month there, 1 month there. We have a really good new venue in Limerick. We also have Dolan's Warehouse that we can use in Limerick. Lack of venues in Cork, but the Circus Factory are right up our street with the type of people that they want to have in their venue. So we're going to rock the Circus Factory to the, we're going to shake the roof on next Friday week, whatever. So yeah.
Excellent.
So I expect a lot more from us in Cork and Limerick 2022 and beyond. You never know where we will.
Cannot wait for the show next Friday night. Just to wrap up, Justy, final word to you, and what is, I suppose, your message to Reardon O'Connor heading into the show next week?
Yeah, look, it's pretty simple. Reardon has shown me that he's come on leaps and bounds. He is an exceptional wrestler. He's got a great haircut. Probably, you know, he puts a little bit too much into his hair. Like, we've all got great hair,
yourself,
guys.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But for me, personally, I'm looking forward to this match. I'm looking forward to wrestling in Cork. I'm looking forward to wrestling Reardon in Cork. I'm looking forward to putting on a show. By no means am I understating what Reardon is capable of, especially in his hometown. I know that the show sold out pretty early, so there is maybe we could rest on our laurels a little bit, but we have to put on a good show. We have to put in a good showing. And I think that match against Reardon, I'm going to put it all out there, and I know he's going to put it all out there. He feels like he is owed something because of the way things went down in Limerick. He had an opportunity to pin LJ Cleary, and he got screwed out of it. So I know he's hungry for that belt. But look, the way I see it is, I have this belt. It's right here.
Nice.
I own that belt. If he wants that belt, he has to purchase this belt from me. He owes me. He owes me a fight that could put me down for 3. And I don't think his pockets run that deep. He is not going to put me down. He is not going to buy that belt. I am going home with the prize, with the belt, and I am still going to be the Phoenix champion. Justy!
Nice. Boys, been an absolute pleasure. Cannot wait for this show next week. Really looking forward to seeing you guys performing tonight.
Cheers, Roar.
Thanks for having us.
Sold out, has it? Next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is kind of pointless.
Yeah, a little bit promoting the show. It's already sold out.
And this is only stoking the ego and getting people ready for what's coming next year, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Stroke away.